After Celaena and Dorian talk, she takes this time to go to Kaltain in the dungeons. She's going to ask a few questions herself. She asks if Roland can be trusted, and Kaltain, very chilling in her answer, says none of us can be trusted, especially not Roland. Okay, go on. Now during this interaction, we see that Kaltain is tired and she's like on the brink of madness, okay? Celaena, like in the thoughts, Celaena's like, she heard of her opium addictions, Kaltain's opium addiction. After being locked away, she's like having serious withdrawal issues, and like, of course she's having serious withdrawal issues. And not to mention, Parrington is literally like, he's visiting her, and the guards turn a blind eye when he starts to abuse her. And after a moment, Celaena's like, she immediately takes pity on her, even though she doesn't like Kaltain. Kaltain tried to kill her. Celaena takes pity on her and gives Kaltain her cloak. Love that. We love a sisterhood, you know what I mean? And before Celaena leaves, Kaltain says some more weird stuff, okay? She's like, my headaches are worse every day, worse and worse, and full of all those flapping wings. Girl, are the wings in the room with us? I'm gonna have nightmares. What wings are you talking about, girl? And that's especially weird because literally, what wings are you talking about? We've had no recollection of wings in this entire thing. And then she says, on top of that, she says, sometimes I think they brought me here, not to marry Parrington, but for another purpose. They want to use me. And she also says, something is coming, and I am to greet it. I beg your pardon, girl? Blink twice if you need help. Now, Celaena tells all of this to Nehemia and their little girls, in their little girls moment, their little, you know, they have a morning where they're just like, let's talk some girl stuff. She tells Nehemia, and Nehemia's like, what the hell does that mean? Celaena, and of course, before that, after she left Kaltain, she tells Chaol, is like, hey, something's going on, and this is what's going on in Kaltain's cell. And of course he rips his guards a new one and is like, I'm gonna make sure that never happens again. Thank you, Chaol. We love you. We love Chaol. We love Chaol. So of course Celaena tells Nehemia about what Chaol did, and this invokes a conversation about honor of the court. Then Nehemia tells Celaena that her father told her stories about the honor of the Terrazin court, and that if Terrazin were to rise again, they would be a threat to Adarlan. We love it. We love a little Terrazin drop. And then Nehemia goes on to mention that Wendelin, which is across the sea from Adarlan, she wonders if they would ever consider being a threat to Adarlan. But then she quickly says, well, but they didn't do anything when the king enslaved the continent, so why would they do anything now? Now, Celaena, we can kind of tell she's a little bit bothered by this conversation, so she quickly changes the subject, you know? She asks how Nehemia is and what's going on with her. Like, what's going on with you? What's going on with your whole thing with the king? Like, can we focus on you for a second? So we figure out from Nehemia, Roland is now part of the council. That's what we figure out. And is in charge of smoothing things over with Nehemia, because Nehemia has been bombarding Minister Mullison, who is in charge of the whole Calacola thing, and basically is like, hey, don't be too pushy on this whole situation. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make Nehemia like, you're being a little too pushy. Kind of back up for a second. And it's like, hey, call me crazy and I might be a little far-fetched, but I don't think Nehemia is being too pushy about the labor camp where her people are forced to be enslaved. Yeah, I'm gonna go out on a limb on that one and say that she's not being too pushy. Okay, so later on, Celaena has dinner with Archer. They have been planning a nice dinner together just to catch up. They have dinner, they have a great time. There's a little bit of flirting with Celaena, maybe not in the, you know, putting on a performance way, but in actual, like, he's really cute and, like, I've always had a crush on him kind of way type thing. And we learn in this whole situation that while Celaena was training as an assassin, Archer was training as a courtesan. And even though he was older, they still crossed paths because Archer was a courtesan for some of the people that Celaena knew. So that's how they knew each other. Now we do figure out some of the descriptions of Archer in that he is extremely charismatic, so handsome that when he was at his bidding, which is basically like this big party where they kind of auction off the first-time courtesans. They've never had sex before. They're completely virgins, and they auction them off to a lucky person who'll basically be there first. Basically, there was such a commotion at his first bidding that there were all-out brawls between women. So this is basically what Sean Kingston was singing about, in Beautiful Girls, but it was all about Archer because this guy is just way too hot. Kind of reminds me of that picture of Zayn Malik, in the, I think it was the 2014. It's gotta be 2014 MTV Music Awards, you know what I'm talking about? That's how I kind of picture Archer. Anyways, so Selena finally confesses to him on the way back to his home in the carriage that she was sent to kill him. She'll give him the option, either, fake your death and leave, or I'll actually kill you. And he's like, okay, I will take the first option. And he loves this option because he's in debt with Clarice. Now, Clarice is his boss lady. He wants to be free of that. So he's perfectly on board with staging his death. Then also Selena's like, hey, I still want information though on this rebellion thing. I know you have nothing to do with it, but what's going on? And so he's like, all right, I can give you some names. I hear some of my clients talking about it, and he's like, basically they're backing this lady named Aelin Galanthinius. Aelin Galanthinius. Oh, we'll figure out who that is in just a second. I know who that is. You don't know who that is. Or you will. Or you do. So, needless to say, Selena's really shocked when she hears this name, okay? She's like, the dead princess from Terrazin? She's dead. So yeah, that's a bit of a shocker information that she's left with after, before she leaves Archer. She stops by Cale's room, tells him about the dinners, everything is great, everything is fine, no worries. And they share a sweet moment because Selena's like, why do you care and all that? Cale's like, I will always care about you. And I think it finally occurs to her, oh, this isn't just a, hey, we meet up kind of friends thing. This is an actual, you actually do care for me type thing. And it's like, girl, wake up. Yeah, we knew that. Now, Archer did tell Selena about masquerade party where one of Archer's clients will attend. And that's one of the clients that is mentioned, being a part of the rebellion type thing. Selena attends, and she's all dressed up. She's all fancy. She has a mask and everything. She intends to find this client named Davis and overhears these rebellious, put in quotation marks, rebellious people just want a leader that will do what they want, basically serve their needs. And she also learns that the king is finding these traitors. He's basically interrogating them, torturing them, and executing them. And she's like, I didn't hear any about, she's just so confused on this. And it mainly has to do with the fact that she's been leaving the city and going on all these, trips to kill these targets and all this stuff. Could be part of that. But anyways, that's what she's hearing. And she's like, oh my gosh, this is a lot bigger than I've given weight to. Okay. And this is kind of putting into the fact of Selena doesn't want to be a part of anything bigger than herself, that bigger than she can control. But this is starting to be bigger than what she can control. This is an all-out rebellion in the Princess of Terrazin's name. So Archer ends up taking her to Davis's office where she finds a book of word marks. They break in, but she finds a book of word marks, and Archer leaves her there and is like, all right, I'm gonna make sure nothing happens. And she finds the book of word marks, and it's similar to the one she finds in the library. You know the one, The Walking Dead. Now with Rick Grimes, the other Walking Dead, which is absolutely insane. Will we ever figure out what else is in The Walking Dead? Sorry, I'm off on a tangent. Let's go back. She opens it and finds a phrase scribbled in the book. And the phrase says, it is only with the eye that one can see rightly. Very weirdly put. I'm reading off my notes, and even for me, I want to switch some words around, but it is only with the eye that one can see rightly. Guess is as good as mine. Anyways, Davis returns and tries to disarm Selena. He ends up giving her a cut on her arm, and there ends up being a poison on the sword. He has poison on the sword, so it gets in her bloodstream, and the poison is Gloriella, which she remembers. Oh, that was one of the poisons in the poisons test in the King's tournament. So that's a little callback. And she ends up killing Davis with the knife. She then ends up booking it back to the palace. Running at full speed. She feels herself starting to give out, and she's like, I gotta get to the palace ASAP. Gets to the palace and actually goes straight to Cale's office. Ends up collapsing in Cale's office while he's there, by the way, and tells him the poison before she completely passes out. Now, thankfully, Cale took her and got her the antidote, so we're all good. When she woke up, they talked. Cale was absolutely beside himself. He could not imagine her getting hurt, and he barely sleeps and all that. He couldn't imagine her getting hurt and losing her. It absolutely drove him almost to a brink of madness, to where he was just I don't know what to do. He was paralyzed. He literally couldn't do anything but wait. And he's like, you need to stay in bed. You can't do anything else. You need to regain your strength. And so she does. Celaena rests and she regains her strength. And when she does, she returns to the library and intends to find out what she saw that other night. That figure that she saw on her way to the library, she wants to know why it was near the library and what's going on. Now, in her search for the mysterious figure, she recalls that Chaol once told her about a library beneath the library. Intrigue. And so she also recalls the weird noise that she heard in the library whenever she was with him, like back in the fall. And there's like a point in Throne of Glass book where she talks about it, where she's like in the library, she's reading The Walking Dead, and she hears a noise and it's kind of creepy, and she's like, Chaol, did you hear that? And then he takes his sword and scrapes the floor and it sounds like it, and she's like, okay, yeah, it sounds like it, but I thought I heard something else, like, kind of thing. She recalls all this while she's journeying down into the library, just going all the way far back. We get descriptions of like how dusty it is and how much the decor changes and all that. Like, it's so different. It doesn't look it looks old, like nobody has been back there for years. Celaena is going to search in the library. We get a scene that cuts away to Dorian, and he's in his room. He's awaking from a nightmare, and it's bitterly cold in his room, despite the window not being open. It's winter, and he's supposed to be warm in his room. He's a prince. The window's not open. He's not actually being cold from the outside. There's something cold in his room. Like, it's kind of freaky. All of a sudden, he sees a frost ring around him, and then it disappears, along with the cold, by the way.
What was that?
Now, anyways, we're back to Celaena. She's in the library, she's going deeper, she's going down, and she's discovering that nobody has been in that part of the library in ages, okay? And guess what? She finds a secret passageway behind a tapestry. These Attalanians and their love for putting secret passageways behind tapestries, like, although I love that. That's actually so amazing. I might actually do that in my home if I ever have one. If I ever get to afford one. And of course, no one's been there in a long time. She finds all these old books and scrolls that haven't been touched. Like, that for me would be amazing. I would like spend hours just looking through those. Of course, she sees murals. The reason why she's like, oh, nobody's been down here. She sees murals depicting different historical moments. There's even some that depicts the Fae. And so we know that the king has not been down there, because those would have been ripped out and burned just in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, you know what I mean? And so we see a lot of fun stuff of like what the palace would have been prior to maybe the king, or maybe, past generations. Like, what would have been like, kind of fun stuff. Now, after she walks down 2 staircases, she finds an iron door, and clearly this door wasn't meant to be opened. And she's sensing something is weird on the other side, but she's like, let me just check what's on the other side, you know what I mean? So she takes out her dagger, she carefully kind of puts it underneath the door, and she sees a reflection of a pair of eyes. And she quickly just yanks it out, and I'm like, girl, me too. If I saw a pair of eyes, I would be like booking it back to the surface, finding somebody I can actually like tolerate being around. Someone living, like, okay, don't be away from me for like 2 days. I'm a little scared. But after that, she just convinces herself it was like a rat or something. And I'm like, you know what? I would have done the same. I would have been absolutely just in a state of delusion. Like, no, it was like a rat. It was like a snake, whatever it was. Like, it's just an animal. No worries. Now, a big party is being thrown for Holland's return. Holland is Dorian's younger brother, who's like 11 or something like that. He's coming back from school, and they're gonna throw some big parties and all that stuff. They're gonna have a lot of like fun, welcome back Holland type thing. And so they have a huge party, and Rena Goldsmith is performing. The Rena Goldsmith. She's like a big singer there. So she is throwing a concert, and at this point, while she's singing, Dorian finally finds a moment where he finally lets go of Celaena, like lets go of everything, their relationship, and his heartbreak. Just finally is like, you know what, I'm done at this point. And good for him. Music can help your emotions feel more clarifying. It can there's a lot of clarity there. Now, Rena Goldsmith, at this point, tonight's entertainment, she starts to sing a song about the Fae. It comes to no surprise that she's immediately killed after this. After she sings a song, she's taken to the executioner's block, and the king kills her. But while she's being brought to the executioner's block, she is literally giving a list of names of people that the king has unintentionally like killed through his barring magic, has killed that have been close to her. So like, you know what? I respect that. That's so badass. Like, good for you, Rena. We love her in this household. Nothing but respect for her. No, nothing but respect for Rena Goldsmith. Period.